Welcome to the Art of Quantum Healing, where we speak about trauma, mental health and healing. I am your host, Lisa Nadler, and I'm thrilled to have you come into my energetic field. In this podcast, I will be sharing my own personal experiences to guide, teach, and help pave the way. We'll also be welcoming so many other divine souls who have overcome trauma and found happiness, health, wealth, and next level abundance through mind, body, and soul connection. My mission is to help women high vibe and thrive with inner peace, passion, and purpose.
So welcome to the Art of Quantum Healing. I have another beautiful guest with me today, the divine Lydia. I nearly went to say Linda. I do that. You know what? I don't know how many podcasts I do where in my mind, I say one name and then I say the other. It's so funny. So the beautiful Lydia is here joining us today, and we're going to be going really deep on all the ways of the body and the dietitian side of really expanding out and listening to your body. So welcome, Lydia.
Oh, thank you. So good to be here.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read to you a little bit about Lydia. She, for over 25 years, has been in the health and wellness industry as a registered dietitian, with the greatest part of her career working in media. Following some pivotal life experiences that included being widowed without warning, navigating cancer, and a period of unhealthy coping mechanism, Lydia began to incorporate a holistic approach to well-being that focused on the health of her mind, body, and the divine soul. The benefits she realized prompted her to create her signature program, Discovering, and it's a y.o.u, your own uniqueness. I love that. Where she delivers keynotes and workshops in the areas of personal growth, connection to self, and positive change. She helps people get into the heart of what they truly value and empowers them to embody a whole health approach to living that results in a thriving, purposeful, and fulfilling existence. A freaking man, sister. That's all I can say.
Now, it's only taken me 53 years, but hey, I'm here.
Hey, it's taken me 49. I'm still doing it.
Yeah, you know,
journey.
I was going to jump right in and say, you know, life is not linear, which we all know. It throws us all kind of curveballs. But I think when you look back, when you get to a certain point in your life and you say, wow, it actually all makes perfect sense when you look at how everything played out in your life. So yeah, let's start from the beginning, you know, where you sort of jumped in and described my background, which was 25 years in the health and wellness industry as a registered dietitian, which I'm going to qualify right now and say I'm not practicing in that area anymore, but it's certainly had a huge role and impact in the work I do today. I married, you know, some of my, you know, my professional background with my personal life experiences and came out to this beautiful place that I'm going to speak about more today. But yeah, registered dietitian, you know, of course, my whole thing was about health and wellness and well-being and nutrition and feeding your body and fueling yourself, you know, with healthy energy. And, you know, I walked the talk. Boy, did I walk the talk. And I had a great career. You know, I got to say, you know, I had every facet of nutrition that you can think of, from you know, working in healthcare to teaching in university to working in media, as we talked about, which was the highlight of my career. And I remember just loving that sweet spot, being on a stage, you know, speaking about nutrition and wellness and engaging with people and having them uptake the messaging. It was all really exciting for me. Yeah. But I remember saying to my husband at one point, you know, I like what I'm doing and I love the life we've created, but there's something more for me. There's something more.
There's always something more.
You know what I called it? I called it the midlife wife syndrome. Okay. So I've got this great life, great husband, great marriage, kids, career, you know, choices all day long, but something's missing on the inside. I'm not sure I'm happy on the inside. And so I'm feeling like a struggling midlife wife who's restless, right? I'm not looking for anything outside of the marriage, but I'm looking for something to fill my soul.
Yeah.
And my husband had this great way of putting things in perspective. He would always say two things. He'd say, just do what makes you happy, whatever that looks like. And I don't care if that means you're working 3 jobs or you're working no jobs and you're going to the gym every day. I don't care. Do what makes you happy. And then he'd also say, you know, don't dwell on it so much. Just be present, right? Really enjoy the moment. Stop thinking about what right? And I don't know, guys, they're wise, right?
Isn't it funny
and
how
I think
they don't say something and then all of a sudden they come out with some crackers and you're like, damn, where did that come from? And it's like, boom, and off you go again. They so know how to hold space, right? Oh,
I love how differently we're wired. I wouldn't trade places, but there's so many elements of the way guys think that I just, I want that,
That's so
anyway, so he'd say this. I think, I want that, I want that too, but easy for you, right? He was really good about just being present and just kind of be able to put things in their proper place. Anyway, so I'm sitting with all of this and I'm going, okay, life is going along. Stop complaining. Shut up. Life is good, right? Meanwhile, he's working in a job that's demanding a lot from him. He's a president of a company and he's traveling a ton. And over time, I can see that he's getting tired and I'm getting worried. We always had this check-in point with each other. How are you doing? Are you happy? I said, because I don't like what I'm seeing here. You're looking really stressed. He said, no, I'm good. I'm good. It's a grind, but it's just taking some time to build up this business and I'll be okay. So don't I drop him off at the airport one day for this 5-day whirlwind trip to China. And 3 days later, I get a phone call at 3:00 in the morning that he has died. And, it's so interesting. It's so interesting because I was watching the fatigue set in. I was watching this man age in front of me. And I was worrying about what was coming. So it was, in one aspect, the news wasn't entirely a shock, even though it was devastating. But the interesting thing, and the reason I want to be on your show particularly today, Lisa, is because it's all about, quantum energy and healing, through our connection to spirit and something bigger than ourselves. And that's really the pivotal turning point in my own personal journey. And that's married into the work I do today. And what happened is right after he died, like literally, I remember just feeling this overarching sense of connection to his spirit, love, and gratitude. I was overcome with gratitude. And I remember saying, wait a second, here's this woman who just a few months ago was feeling restless, saying to her husband, something's missing in my life. Now I've just been given this blow, this devastating news. And yet I'm so overcome with love and gratitude. I'm not in shock. I'm very real to what's just gone down. But I also recognize that something bigger is at work in your life here, right? Something is opening up. The universe is opening up in its splendor for you because you are feeling so much gratitude and love for everything that you had. And you're just holding on to it so tightly, And what happened was in the months following his passing, I really, really wanted to remain connected to that and to covet it. So, I read everything there is to read about what happens to our departed ones when they die. And I meditated and I prayed on it. And I spent an inordinate amount of time in nature. And I remember one particular day just sitting in nature and looking out at the water and thinking of nothing. And all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, I'm so peaceful. And that was my missing piece. I wasn't thinking about everything that I'd been through, and I wasn't worrying about how the future was going to unfold. I was completely at peace when I was present. And I went, that's what's been missing inside of me, inner peace, not just making peace with what's happened, but my own personal inner peace. And I realized that is what he meant when he said, just be present. Do what makes you happy and be present.
100%.
Yes. And oh my gosh. And all of a sudden it was literally in the next moment, I thought, okay, now what you need to go out and speak to people about. It's not so much about physical well-being and nutrition. Yes, that's important, but now it's about nourishing your inner well-being, doing things to light you up from the inside out and honoring it, nourishing it, and everything you need to do to figure out what makes you uniquely you. And that's how I came up with the program, Discovering Why Oh You. And so that became the thing that I did moving forward. And I just jumped on it with a vengeance, right? Okay, so now I'm going to go out and find speaking opportunities and do workshops and, just share the good news, with everybody because I, as a former dietitian, I have that credibility in that audience from my past life. People know that I'm a health professional. I'm a health guru. This is what I speak about. Now I'm going to speak about nourishing your well-being as well. And so that began to gain a lot of momentum. And that was super exciting for me. And then a year and a half later, I got cancer. And I'm like, okay, what is the message here? What is this all about? And the cancer was in my thyroid area. So I had 2 surgeries in the space of 9 months, 30 lymph nodes removed, the thyroid, et cetera, et cetera. And there was a risk of my vocal cords being affected from the surgery. So I remember when I sat thinking about, am I going to be able to speak again? thinking, okay, there's a message in here. And for me, the message was really clear. It was, don't overthink this. Just get out there wherever, however you can, and speak. Because as you and I talked about before the show, if you can change one life for the better with your message, just one, then you have a reason to share your message. And so that became my mindset around everything that I do. So I've been authored, I've written in a book, I've done workshops, I've done keynotes, I do a ton of podcasting so that I can get out there and inspire people to really live authentically, to put the time and energy back toward themselves, because let's face it, the only relationship you can ever walk away from is the one you have with yourself. So nurture it and nourish it. And that's what I do.
A lot of people in that space of they don't actually know how to connect to themselves. And when you spoke about being in that moment of just inner peace with the no distractions and noise, I can really relate to that. I did 2 weeks, I did a dieta with Nourish, and it was basically, because I couldn't go to Costa Rica, I'd do it in my own house. And I had to completely take myself away from everybody that was in the house and basically shut myself away for 2 weeks in a room, doing nothing, no distractions, because, that's where we are. We have all these different distractions and thoughts in our minds, but also no devices or anything. And I sat there for 2 weeks, pretty much staring at the ceiling. That was the most profound thing I have ever done in my life. It was like what you said, I sat there, and it took me 2-3 days to go far, and I had, panty attacks, and like, oh God, sort of thing, and that. But then when I surrendered to that moment and I connected to my inner world, it was just the things that came through, the just the clarity, the emptiness. And I actually got a message at that stage that I needed to go and check my left breast. And I had something going on there. It was just such a profound time. So I really can understand that, that when we take ourselves away and we sit in the nothing is where we absolutely get the messages that we need, and we connect fully to ourselves. And a lot of people find it hard to connect to themselves. They really, really do. So, it's a journey.
Yes, they do. And so, and that's a big question that I get from people, because you and I can talk about this and say, yeah, we've been there, we get it, we understand. And it does take a lot of work and concentrated, focused effort. And first of all, not everybody has that opportunity to give themselves that. So when people say to me, how do I get a taste of it, or how do I get a touch of, what this feels like? I think the easiest way to coach people into this space, or to at least something that feels similar, is to align with the things that they value. So I always talk to people about aligning with your personal core values. And the reason I think it's such an important thing, that, again, people just take that for granted. They go, well, I know what I value. I'm like, well, let's talk about that, right? What is it? Are you bringing stuff in from your childhood? Those things that you were, and listen, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a lot of the things I valued for most of my life, but they've shifted and expanded too, to accommodate what's happened in my life over the years, right? But a lot of times the things that we value from a young age are things that made us feel safe and secure and part of our familial community and loved and accepted, right? And maybe they don't necessarily align with us as we have our own life experiences. We might find that we align with different things that are important to us at this particular time and place in our lives. And so I always say to people, it's important to make sure that you check in with yourself every so often to know what it is you truly align with, what you value, right? And then bring practices into your life that will allow you to stay true to those values so that you show up authentically, right? There's nothing richer and more fulfilling and more wholly healthy than living authentically. And then you show up for everyone and everything as the best version of yourself.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So when you were speaking before about the moments when you had these pivotal, like, life-changing times where you could have gone so deep into I don't want to use the word victim, but I mean, the struggle and the stress and oh my God, this has happened to me, I mean, having someone that you deeply, deeply love, but being taken from you. So that's when you're still, creating this beautiful life together, and then having the possibility of, your throat with your cancer. There are huge things that happen in your life. So how did you sit and actually turn that around? How did you decide, I mean, you talked about, you realized that they were, that they were lessons. And that can be hard to sit there and go, okay, so I'm feeling this love, I'm feeling this gratitude. Or should I be actually feeling the stress and the worry and the strain from it all? So how did you actually sit into that moment and be okay with it? Because a lot of people would actually go into a bit of not shame, but a bit of guilt that they're feeling this beautifulness when they should actually be grieving, or they should be feeling like shit, because that's how we're programmed. So how did you actually navigate that time?
Okay, well, first of all, I did grieve and feel like shit, believe me. It took a lot of hard grieving that happened, believe me. You know, like I have a newfound appreciation for the term broken heart, believe me, I do. But I think the other part of knowing that source or the divine or God or the universe or my angels were at work in my life was being able to really be in tune with my energy in those early days of all of those pivotal life moments. You know, having a choice. How do I want to respond to this? Do I want to go down a path of anger and bitterness and I'm a victim and why me? Or do I choose to find the silver linings and feel the gratitude and the love for all that we experience? Because there's always two ways of looking at things. And I feel very fortunate, but again, I feel like there's something bigger at work in my life helping me to see it this way, to choose to see the cup half full, to choose to find the silver linings. And it's such a gift when you can find silver linings or find the light inside of the darkness, because, you know, it's easy to be grateful for the basic stuff, the blue skies and the warm cup of coffee in the morning and your health, you know, if you have it. But when you can find silver linings in the face of things that are not so obvious, that's where you're living from a really expansive heart. And that's where you're really just opening up your life to possibilities and opportunities. And it is a choice. I feel really blessed. I don't feel like it was something that I had to consciously, maybe I did consciously choose to live that way, but I feel like I had a lot of help, you know, around me.
And I think that's a pivotal thing when you hit on that, is realizing that we are not actually here by ourselves to do this journey. We're a soul in a human body, and we're supposed to be experienced as human existence. And when we allow ourselves to feel as human existence, but we allow ourselves to tap into our little team up here that we don't realize, in our higher self and source and God and who we believe in, it opens up a whole different fucking world. That for me is the key to great expansion. That is the key to real connection, is allowing yourself to believe and understand and know and embody that there is so much more. Yes.
Yes. And, you know, it's so funny you say that, because that's part of my notes that I was making for your show today, thinking, you know, all of this takes work, though. It takes a conscious practice to remember that we are actually all souls here on earth. We are here in human form. So we're human, and we are affected by outside influences and by those thoughts in our head and all of those things that just come at us, you know, that are constantly, you know, being flung at us on you know, moment to moment basis. We're humans, but we're humans, you know, it's a test of our spirit, really, how we act here as humans on Earth. It's so interesting, you know, and most people think it's the other way around.
Yeah, it's not. And it's interesting too. I love that when you realize that knowledge is great, you can have all the fucking knowledge in the world, you know, like with your dietitian, you can have all the basics, all the understanding, all the knowledge. But when you turn that into the wisdom and you combine it with your own wisdom, it just opens up a whole new reality, a whole new way of being, a whole new way of feeling, a whole new way of seeing, a whole new connection. I think it's the connection stuff, isn't it? It's just sitting in the present moment and just allowing, okay, and when you did it, I'm taken care of. This happened for a reason. And that can be a bloody hard to pull to swallow when you've just had something massive. Then you sit there and go, well, no, this is happening for a reason. But it is, everything is always happening for our highest good at every single level.
And I believe, and I feel you probably do as well, Lisa, that everything is divinely timed. So again, when I look at losing my husband as suddenly as I did, I recognized very early on, because of what I experienced so soon, that his passing was meant to be my spiritual awakening. That was divinely timed. And our soul's karmic agreement together in this lifetime was for what it was. You know, that was his hour. And I've always believed that when it's your time, it's your time. So when people always go off on how did they die, or, oh, what a shame, or what, it doesn't matter how, it's why. And the why is it was your time, that's it. And you did the job you were meant to do here, and that's it. I will admit that I kind of went down a little bit of that, not personal victim path, but certainly for my daughters, because they were 11, 14, and 15 when their dad died. I remember thinking they've been ripped off. They've been ripped off from having him in their lives longer. But then I had to stop myself and say, wait a sec, look at how much of their lives they had of him, and look at the impact that he made on their lives. I mean, we're going on 8 years now, and their memories of him are so vivid because we keep them alive, but they have a running list of things he used to say. We pull it out of the top. It's all good, it's all healthy, I remember saying to them when he passed away, he's just on a different journey now, but we're still a unit. We're still the 5 of us. We're still a family. We always will be. We very much kept, his spirit alive. And I think it's healthy. I think it's important, to continue to talk about those people. They're such an active part of your life and such a pivotal part of your own personal growth. Yeah. I feel there's so much that I've learned through my time with him, and the wisdom that I've gained and the awakening that I've experienced. I mean, it's such a blessing, and it was meant to be exactly what it is. Now it's my time to go out and make my impact on the world.
Yeah,
the same way he did.
Agree. Yeah, and I always believe that when people are taken young, they have a bigger job to do. And right now with what's happening, he's needed back here. The bigger work. So tell us more about your holistic approach to well-being. Tell us more about that, Juicy.
Absolutely. Well, again, it's really transitioning. It's a mindset for me, really. It's a mindset shift. It's recognizing that, where in the past I was very focused on physical nourishment, right? The things you put in your mouth, to energize your body so that you can live, take care of your insides in terms of your organ health, and, just have the energy to do what you need to do on a day-to-day. I transitioned from there to understanding that there's much more to health than just physical well-being. It's mental, spiritual, emotional well-being. And of course, having gone through the experiences I did, I recognize that those practices that I bring into my life every day that nourish my mental and emotional and spiritual well-being are as, if not more important than the ones I do. I mean, it's all a package, right? When we talked about value, aligning with the things you value, for me, health and well-being has always been something I valued, but of course now it's a bigger meaning. It's a bigger definition. Health of body, mind, soul, connection to people through the work I used to do as a dietitian, through the work I'm doing with you now, talking to you, engaging. Connection has always been something I've really valued, but now it's also connecting to something I can't see, and just having that faith and that belief in something bigger at work in my life, and nourishing and nurturing that connection as well. Right. So, those are my practices that encompass a holistic approach to well-being. And then I have my own little habits, of course, that serve me. I journal every single day, and I meditate, and I practice yoga, and I spend an inordinate amount of time in nature just being present, because those are the things that fuel my soul.
It's very hard for people to be present. I know that was one thing for me, because I believe there's 2 brains. I believe there's the farmer brain, which is like my husband. He's the logical, the person that, plod, the person that thinks about things that, and then there's me, and I'm just like I call it it's like the ADA brain. I can't take a exact name for it. It's the hunter brain. And that's me. I'm like, go. I've got, all these different things. And so for me, even just trying to sit in the stillness of meditating, I was like, eat, pray, love, when she's been sitting there and she's been sitting there and she hears the clock and she goes, damn it, it's only been a minute. That used to be me. I'd be like, ah. So it's really hard for people to actually get in the present moment and actually take away a lot of the noise. Would you have any tips for people on how they could actually just start to be present with themselves? Because it's huge.
Yeah. You know what? It's the simplest and freest thing that we all have access to, and that's our breath.
That's what, sorry?
Right? Yeah. It's our breath.
Oh yeah.
And I don't do organized breath work per se, but it's as simple as, and I use this with my kids all the time, especially because they're all in university and studying, and that's a very stressful experience in and of itself. So I always say, just take a step back, like put your arms above your head, take some deep breaths, hold them, let them out slowly, and they'll look at me. I'm like, I'm not being a woo-woo guru, yogi mom here. I'm just, your breath is an incredible thing to just ground you and center you. And guess what? If you do 3, 4, 5, 6 breaths in a row, and all you focused on is that, you were just present for a minute. You were just completely present, thinking of nothing else but your breath. So
straighten your body.
It really does. That's the simplest example. And then you help people build from there, right? But that is the simplest example that I can give, because it really does put you right in the moment.
Yeah, I love that. And it's also like, you know, when you're meditating as well, if you feel your mind wander, bring it back to the breath, And I remember when I first watched this thing and someone said, oh, and soon you're going to be able to just feel the breath coming out of your nose. And I'm like, what a crock of shit. I can't even friggin' still my mind at the moment. Don't worry about that. And now I do. I just feel the tingling on here. It's like anything else though, isn't it? It's practice. And I remember someone saying to me that there's no such thing as a bad meditation. Even if you cannot connect, even if your mind is crazy, you are still doing it, and it doesn't matter. Just keep doing. Because I know for me, I don't know for you, when I'm about to have one of my biggest breakthroughs, or I'm about to have one of my most, like, you know, because you go through the ascension flow and you go through all these different things, but I know that if I don't keep doing, when I get those nudges and I want to stop, then I will stop myself from coming out and coming through whatever I need to. And sometimes I don't even know what it is. It's like, well, this is really icky, shadowy, oh my God, what the hell. But when you honor your body, like we spoke about, you know, having nana naps, then it takes you, it's when you come through that side that you just feel such a different sense of release, and there's a new connection and a new connection and a new connection. Do you find that you just keep like, all of a sudden it's like, wow, another new identity. Hello, who are you?
You know, it's interesting that you say, because I was thinking about what you were saying about the breath on your nose, and then all of a sudden you feel it, but then the minute you think about it, it's like you almost interrupt yourself, right? From that moment. And so that's that piece that I'm not very good at either. I find quite often if I am taking a little cat nap, or if I'm just nodding off to sleep, and then all of a sudden all sorts of visuals will start coming at me. They'll float in and out, and I try and just remain really curious and open to it, rather than saying, who are you? Why are you here? You know, what do you as soon as I do that, my brain is really active, versus just being curious and going, okay, I'll just go with it. I've never yet had anything beyond, you know, just this floating in and out of people and faces that I don't recognize. I think I like it. I know that's connecting me to something somewhere somehow, and that's all I need to know right now. And if it's meant to evolve into something more from it, I will.
It's like when I astro travel, I'm like, I don't know where I am, but this is exciting. Where are we going? We're going on a little journey.
I think the coolest thing about all of this, Lisa, is that, you know, you're connected on some level. We all are. I think it's the fact that we're energetically, we're vibrating in a way that we can connect on some level. Whether it translates into something tangible in terms of a message for us, or, you know, a path that we're supposed to take, not sure, but it just means that, you know, we're connecting on a level. It's cool. Like, I think it's really, really cool, and it's very real. And it's a hard thing for people to experience. So I feel gifted in the experience, and you know, it's empowering. You know, I don't use it for anything other than just knowing who I am and feeling really rooted and grounded and centered, and knowing what I need to do to come back to that place of feeling that way, so that I can show up authentically and I can live from a place that feels really healthy and really whole.
Yeah, I think it's a whole. That's a big word, whole, because, you know, and when you were saying that at the start of it, when you said that you were doing a lot of doing all the dietitian stuff, and it was great, and you were feeling really good, and then there was that but, and I believe that but was your true connection. It was the, as you said, the awakening, and it was the connecting into who you are, and that because there's that missing piece. And I know that when I was suicidal, when I was an addict, and I was basically, I had the moment I woke up on the floor of my bathroom, and I was just like, what the hell? And then the next time I had it was when I woke up in hospital from a drug overdose, and I knew I had to change, and I knew there was something missing. There was something missing from my life, and for me, it's something that's deeper than a connection with yourself. It's a connection with spirit. It's a connection with source. It's a connection with the divine, and it's knowing that you are actually God consciousness. Like, when you can understand this deeper level of awareness. And I love it when you said it's not fucking easy. It's not. People think that, that they can do this and they do these things and then they're here. And this is why I get a little bit pissed off with the with a bit of the spiritual aspect and it becoming a little bit money grabby, because people are really starting to want to know more. And there's some aspects that people are just grabbing, oh, do this and you're going to feel amazing, you're going to be perfect. No, it is such a friggin' roller coaster. You're in, you're out, you're over your side. Sometimes you're in the washing machine and you're being tossed around and you're being chucked out and you're like, wow, okay. So for me, it's a real journey. It's a journey of discovery. And you know, when we first hopped on, you said, oh, you know, it's taken me nearly 50 years to get here. It's like, but we're still going and we're still going and we're still going. And it's just.
Absolutely. No, it's not like you just arrive and you go, oh, you know, here I am. No, it's constant. I like to look at it from the point of view of, you know, we're constantly growing more fully into who we're meant to be, but that journey never ends. We just keep learning, we keep growing, we keep stepping more fully into who it is we were meant to be, you know, so that when our hour comes, you know, we can hopefully be welcomed with open arms and then continue, you know, in the next phase of our lives, whatever that looks like, wherever that is, continuing to do our soul's work, but it's forever.
Yeah. So tell us more about your discovering your own uniqueness. Tell me more about that program, because I'm guessing that, you know, that you've had all these different things that have conspired, and it's like me with my trauma release program. It's all come together and it's made it, because you're all heart. You can just feel that you're 100% heart. You're doing this to help people. You're doing this from higher perspectives. You're playing in the higher dimensions. You understand the connections, and it's like you've brought, and I do believe that we bring everything that we do, like the dietitian and all the different things, in to make the biggest impact. And this is your signature program. So tell us how it helps people and what it is.
Yes. Okay. So discovering you, as you mentioned, is your own uniqueness. And obviously it was born from my own journey of really finding my inner peace and understanding what my purpose was, to go out and share a message about nourishing your inner well-being so that you can live authentically and live wholly healthy and all of that. And so I just felt it was really important, because let's go back to before all of those pivotal moments when I said, you know, I was struggling with being the middle life wife. I recognize that there are so many people out there just like me who are saying, what is my bigger purpose? What is my meaning? You know, love my life. As moms, especially, we identify so much with the role that we give as caregivers to our children until they grow up. And so sometimes it doesn't take a pivotal life moment. It might just be the ebbs and flows of life. And as the journey moves on and your children become less dependent on you, and whatever happens in your marital life or your career or whatever happens in life, because life is always throwing us challenges, at some point we all get to that place where we say, what is the bigger meaning here? What am I meant to do? And it doesn't necessarily have to be rooted in what's my purpose, because some people feel a lot of pressure about finding their purpose. It doesn't have to be a purpose per se. It has to be living authentically and purposefully. Right. I think that's more important, because it takes the pressure off finding that purpose, that one thing. But I have a lot of tools I use. Like when we get into the whole Discovering You program, like I said, I deliver keynotes, I have workshops, and some of the things I focus on when I do the smaller group type work is working on core values alignment, figuring out what really resonates with you. And there's a whole process that we use to get there, to figure out what it is you value at this point in time in your life. And you will be taking things from your younger days and saying, you know, does this still sort of apply to my life today? Or if it does, you know, how much does it not? Sometimes it's knowing what you don't resonate with at all that will help you realize what it is you really do value. So I'll use the example of, you know, if you can't stand that people are late and tardy all the time, then you know punctuality is something you really value. You know, I'm just using that as a simple example. But these are the types we do to get you to, and we take, you know, maybe 30 values that you kind of pull out of a big list, and then we prioritize them, and then you decide, what are my top 10, and then from your top 10, what are my absolute can't live withouts, and then we dummy it down to 3 to 5, because then you can work with those 3 to 5 and say, what can we do to integrate those values into your life every day?
Love it.
So that's one of the ways we work with people to discover your own uniqueness, because really, again, discovering you is about living authentically, right? Living in a way that honors yourself. Because no two people respond or react to the same things either, like the same way. So we're all very unique, and we really should honor that. And then, you know, as I said, one of the things I love to work on, and I do this too, is journaling. I help people go through a journal exercise, and it's more of a memoir writing exercise. So we can take a look at the threads from the time you were small to where you are today, and to see what the consistent weave is.
Wow.
And I'll use the example again of using my voice and speaking from a stage. Well, that calling was there for me from the time I was a little girl. And I didn't realize it until I started journaling, because I realized once I started doing the memoir writing when I was really young, I used to spend hours in my parents' basement singing for nobody's ears but my own. I loved envisioning myself on a stage, but I was too shy to ever let that be known. And then fast forward to my career as a dietitian in media, and I'm loving this sweet spot. And I'm like, oh yeah, but that was always there. It was always with me. I just didn't realize. And then thyroid cancer, people potentially losing my voice. And all of a sudden I realized the message there was use your voice. Don't waste any time. Just get out there and use it however you can. So, there's so many things we can do that will help us, tie the threads from the time we were small to see what that commonality is, right? And all of a sudden that might help us lead us into something that we should be doing, at this point in time in our lives, or again, aligning with your core values so that you know what lights you up at this point in time in your life. So there's a lot of ways that we can work to discovering you, but ultimately it comes down to really honoring your own uniqueness and doing those things that light you up. And the challenge is, Lisa, is that we have so many outside influences, and we will never be devoid of those, right? We have our familial influences, our workplace, social media, all the things that influence us, right? So to be able to get quiet and to be able to do the work and put the investment in yourself so that you can really be rooted and grounded in who you are, know who you are, know what your, your touch points are.
Who you are and know who you are. That is, I love that. It's really funny because when you speak about core values, one of the biggest things that I preach is your needs. And it's a lot like core values. People don't know what they are. Well, my needs are, being a mother. No. What are your needs that you're missing? Because that is the true aspect of self-love. So when you take your core values and your needs, it makes you just such a powerful being. And then you can set your boundaries and you can it just has such a flow-on effect. I love what you do. It's so friggin' powerful. And it's so important because also, and when you were talking, it was like, I'm excited, when you're a child, like I disconnected my childhood. I had a beautiful, loving mother, but I had a very, toxic upbringing, very poor, blah, blah, blah. And, for me, I disconnected a lot of my childhood because it wasn't one of the happiest times of my life, although, I had such a beautiful love and everything. So I don't know if I used to sing. I don't know if I used to pretend I was on stage, And so with the work that you're doing with tapping into your core values and taking them back to childhood, you are opening up so many key aspects that we have buried, that we have hidden, that we've put to the side, that our soul has gone, okay, right now we can't deal with this or whatever it may be. And it brings up wounds, but they're the wounds that we need to heal. So I love that you go into the childhood because I think there is so many gold nuggets and so much wisdom and parts of us that we've forgotten sitting in that childhood. I love it.
Yeah.
You can see so many holy fuck moments. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Oh my God, really? It's that connection, right? It's that connection. Because
connection to self.
And when we're trying to be what everybody else wants us to be because that's our form of survival, so we start molding into everybody else, we forget the essence of who we are. So I love that you take them back that far. I think it's beautiful. So important work, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks.
So if you could give the audience one little gold nugget whatever comes flows through, whatever you want to say, what would be the one? I've got goosebumps all up my back. Ooh. What would you something going on? Connection. What would you like to say to them? And just whatever you'd like to say, whatever flows into your mind.
Yeah, only what I've already said, honor your own uniqueness. Here's the bottom line. Nobody knows you better than you. You know that. Don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise. You know that you're going to be influenced by other things in your life, but you get to choose, how you're influenced by the outside influences in your life and what impact to what level you want them to have on you. I would say really tap into your energy. If there's one thing that we all are in touch with, even though we might not know how to name it, we know what feels good, right? And what doesn't feel good. And so just focus on what feels good for you, because what feels good for you is the most essential part of yourself, is the most knowing part of yourself that's telling you, yes, this is a yes for you. So honor it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that takes you right into the whole intuition and the female gut, right? Like, you know, when you're about to stop, you know, when you're not doing something that you should, you really do. And that is like when you talk about the inner body work, and I'm sure this is absolutely what you teach, is that when you are so tuned in that you can make decisions like that because you get the instant feeling in your body that you know, no, that's a no, that's a yes. And when you're doing your core values, then you know that it's not right for you. So it's just
Right.
love how it just all just molds in together. It's amazing. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we do the big sign off?
No, you know what? I'm just so thrilled for the platform. I love the connection here. I know that you get it, and I hope that you have people who are listening to your show that just
Frozen. Oh, you're frozen.
shout to you or me because we're on it, right?
Yeah, you froze for a bit there.
Yeah.
That's all right. We'll reach it.
Good.
You're frozen. I'm just going to wait to see if you come back before I say goodbye.
Okay.
Your face is frozen on the screen. It's really beautiful, though. You haven't got one of those moments.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll just see.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can definitely hear you. Oh, there you go, you're back. Okay, cool.
Okay. All right.
Oh, no, you're frozen again.
Oh no.
Oh, no,
I
you're
hope
back.
it's
You're back.
I've had
No,
some
you're back. That's good.
Where-
Okay, so let's stop it just in case it happens again. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom and your divine energy, and you have the most gorgeous aura. I love the work you do. I can just feel how heart-centered it is. And I really do believe that your husband made such an impact on you. Those two things that you remember him sharing, oh my goodness, he shines on you so brightly. So thank you for the word choice. I choose. I think everybody should do 3 mantras today that have those words. I choose to be happy. I choose to be grateful. That choice is just, you said it so much, and it sits in my heart when you said it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being on and sharing this beautiful part of you. And I cannot wait to share this and everybody listening. If you would like to get hold of Lydia, all her information will be down below, so you'll be able to tap in and get to know her and juiciness and get more of the divineness that you are. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Make sure to check out all the show notes of today's episode on my website by clicking on the link in the description. Also, make sure to join my newsletter to receive a free guided meditation to help you feel grounded throughout your day. Finally, make sure to subscribe to my channel and help us grow the community by sharing it with your friends. I am your host, Lisa Nadler, and this is the Art of Quantum Healing.